Welcome to Fast Track Gains. I'm here to help you accelerate your gains. This is the second episode of my fourth series, 10 Fitness Commandments, and the second commandment is called 2 Axioms. If you have learned Euclidean geometry in school, you must be familiar with the definition of axioms. An axiom or postulate is a statement accepted as true without proof, serving as a foundational premise for further reasoning and arguments. Without the 5 axioms, the entire Euclidean geometry system would collapse in an instant. Without the 2 postulates, Einstein's relativity would fall apart. Obviously, axioms are critically important for the build-up of any system. However, what people tend to forget about is the true value of axioms. Any deductions, claims, or arguments cannot be made against axioms easily, or otherwise the value of the claim will be severely diminished. And that is what is missing in the current fitness discussions, the axioms, particularly in longevity context discussions. Without the existence of axioms, there are just too many contradictory and controversial claims people are making. Some people are promoting eating multiple times a day, whereas some other people are promoting fasting multiple days. Some people keep saying doing cardio is a waste of time, whereas some other people keep saying high-intensity interval training will do you wonders. Some people believe vegetables are poison to human body, whereas some other people believe animal products are poison to human body. If you have just entered into the conversation, you would honestly not know whom to believe, how to think, and what to practice. Therefore, it is even more important than ever that we establish the correct axioms first and use them to verify other claims to reveal their true values. But before I talk about these 2 axioms, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. It takes less than a second, costs you nothing, and it will help me a great deal in delivering the most efficient muscle building knowledge to the whole world. I really appreciate your support. Now, back to my video. What should be the 2 axioms in longevity conversations? In the last episode of One Direction, I mentioned that everyone is training to be healthier and look better. Now, aesthetics is very hard to define as it is a very subjective topic. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. However, it is just as difficult to define health in a pithy and objective way as well, because there are countless factors associated with health, hence so many controversial claims people are making nowadays. But fortunately, Dr. Pat Davidson, the world's leading exercise physiologist, has accomplished this difficult task for us: how to define longevity in fitness terms.
From a health perspective, our species is pretty stereotypical. When you really parse through all the data, it's kind of like you need a certain amount of muscle mass. You want muscle mass to go up, you want fat mass to come down, and you want a high aerobic fitness level. If you have that, you're checking a lot of the boxes that would be associated with decreasing mortality risk and increasing your really quality activities of daily living stuff for a longer period of time in your life. So, the recipe for muscle mass going up, fat mass going down, and aerobic fitness going up, it's pretty straightforward. You have to lift weights progressively over time for muscle mass. You have to practice pretty decent dieting for fat mass, and you have to do aerobic exercise for aerobic fitness. So everyone needs to do those things. It's just a question of how much. For muscle mass, we're not talking about you don't need to be able to step on stage for a bodybuilding show to have adequate levels of muscle mass. It's pretty meager amounts of muscle mass that's considered to be threshold level for health-based stuff. For VO2 and aerobic fitness, we're not talking about like, competing in the Tour de France either. We're talking about like pretty modest levels of fitness. So I would say like the big thing to keep in mind though is all of those things are going to go down over time. You kind of have to make hay while the sun is shining earlier in life and build a bit of a reservoir of those things like while you're young and fit and capable, because life has that tendency of coming and biting you in the ass. As you get older, you have more responsibilities, kids and job and, elderly people in your family. These are all things that can pull you away from having time to devote to fitness. So while you have time, you really need to allocate it towards building a bank account of this stuff, because it will tend to decline over time. So the higher you have it at any point, the further away from a critical decline point it will be for the future. And from a really like an epigenetic memory standpoint, if you built it up pretty high at any point in your life, it's much easier to recapture that in the future with any investment of time into your fitness development as well.
So if we do some simple extrapolation from this interview, then here are the two axioms. Number one, the more muscle mass you can carry naturally, the healthier you will be. Number two, the higher your cardiovascular aerobic output, the healthier you will be. As axioms serve as the foundational premise for further reasoning and arguments, they obviously have to stand the test of examination themselves. And these two axioms, I do not think that anybody has the courage to argue against it. Is there really going to be anybody going to claim that you are going to be healthier with lower cardiovascular fitness, or you are going to be healthier with lower muscle mass? So, are these two axioms worthy of being the foundation for you to define what is longevity? I think so. Following these two axioms, it becomes clearly evident that if you are training for longevity, to stay healthy, you need to do resistance exercises, weight training to strengthen your muscle, and cardiovascular exercise to strengthen your heart and lungs. I know there will always be straight gym bros who despise cardio training, but it is indisputable that cardiovascular fitness matters to your longevity. To quote directly from Dr. Peter Attia, the leading researcher in longevity medicine, if you compare someone of low fitness to elite, it is a 5-fold difference in mortality over a decade. Then put this in the context of other things that we commonly understand as being problematic for mortality, namely smoking, coronary artery disease, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and end-stage renal disease. When you compare that to the differences in these fitness levels, it gives you a greater appreciation for how much improvement in mortality comes from improving your fitness. In fact, VO2 max matters even more than muscle mass.
High VO2 max and longevity is so clear, and conversely, the association between low VO2 max and mortality is so clear that the idea that VO2 max is the single greatest predictor of lifespan of any measurable number we have is quite remarkable. And so I explained all of that well. What I failed to do was explain the why. Why is that the case? And so I want to take a moment to do so here. The reason that that is the case is that VO2 max is a remarkable integrator of the work you have done to get fit.
However, I'm not telling you to ignore the importance of weight training. This is a natural physique channel. My mission is to help you get jacked in the fastest natural way possible. So weight training is definitely important. But apart from potential aesthetic appeal, there are some unique benefits that can only be derived from weight training. Chief amongst all is described by Dr. Andy Galpin on Huberman Podcast.
There are independent benefits that come from just endurance training, and there are independent benefits that come from strength training. And so to just give you one categorically, The way that you want to think about this is resistance exercise and strength training is the number one tool to combat neuromuscular aging. You cannot get that through any other form of exercise besides heavy overload strength training. And we can walk through in detail what that is, but that is reason number one. In general, human movement is a function of, number one, some sort of neuromuscular activation. So nerves have to turn on. The second part is muscles have to contract. And the third part is those muscles have to move a bone. All right. If you want to be alive and you want to live by yourself, you have to be able to engage in human movement. If you have any dysfunction in the neuromuscular system there, then you're not going to be able to do that. And again, as I mentioned, the only way to preserve that or fight that loss of aging is to strength train.
So yes, muscle matters to longevity as well. But the trick is, optimal health cannot be achieved by only doing cardio or by only doing weights. You have to do them both, cardio and weights. It is not an either-or situation, it is an all-in situation. Since the inception of 10 Fitness Commandments in November 2023, I kept learning new knowledge and perfecting my own system in last year and a half. As I'm recording this video now, I want to introduce my latest development of this commandment. Number one, the silent governor theory. Although both axioms are very important, cardiovascular fitness is more important than muscle mass, and it actually controls how much muscle mass you're allowed to carry. Number two, the muscle-vessel connection theory. This theory serves as an organic extrapolation from the silent governor theory and analyzes why high cardiovascular fitness is crucial for your recovery. Number three, the enlightenment theory. This theory explains why weight training can draw wisdom from cardio training. All these three theories can be found on my third series, Cardio Training. And as I said repeatedly in my previous videos, if you are really serious about getting seriously jacked, then at some point on your weight training journey, you need to have dedicated phase of improving your cardiovascular fitness. The connections between these two axioms are much closer than you think. They coexist and cannot be severed into two separate entities. Finally, it is time to use these two axioms to evaluate all the dubious fitness claims. As mentioned, an argument cannot be made against axioms without severely diminishing its own value. And here, we're going to use these two axioms to evaluate some of the most popular fitness claims. Number one, fasting for multiple days. This one is seriously against the muscle mass axiom. Fasting for multiple days will cause muscle loss, and you definitely do not want to lose any muscle mass unless you absolutely have to. So although there is the so-called benefit of autophagy, I'm never a fan of long fasting. Number two, intermittent fasting. This one is not so much against the muscle mass axiom, but it is not the most optimal way to improve your muscle mass. Muscle tissue requires constant nutrient supply, particularly amino acids, and intermittent fasting prevents it. So although there is the so-called benefit of improving your insulin sensitivity and blood sugar control, I'm not a big fan of intermittent fasting. Number three, frequent high-intensity interval training. This one is against both cardiovascular fitness axiom and muscle mass axiom. High-intensity interval training is not the most reliable way to improve your cardiovascular fitness, as the physiological stress it imposes on your body is too immense, and there's a greater chance of injury to stop you from doing proper weight training. So, although there is the so-called benefit of afterburn and higher calorie burning efficiency, I'm never a fan of high-intensity interval training. Number four, walking 10,000 steps a day is enough. This one is seriously against cardiovascular fitness axiom. There's no continuous improvement you can make by only walking 10,000 steps a day. In order to improve your cardiovascular fitness, progressive overload has to be applied to your cardio training, just like weight training. So, although 10,000 steps a day is a very popular claim among many fitness channels, particularly bodybuilding focused channels, in my eyes, it is never enough for most people. Number 5. Running is the best form of exercise. This one is seriously against muscle mass axiom. No offense to all the avid runners, and running can be great cardio training for a small group of people. But for the majority of the population, tens of thousands of repetitions of eccentric landing from running is going to severely consume your leg muscles and accumulate wear and tear on the knee and hip joint, which will further hamper you from doing proper weight training. So, although the running culture is always growing, I have never been a fan of running. By examining these popular claims against the two axioms, you will quickly realize how valuable the claims really are, and determine which claims you should adopt and which claims you should eliminate. The axioms are not only serving as the definition of longevity, they can also guide you on how to optimize your fitness protocol in order to maximize your longevity. So in future, when you run into any dubious fitness claims, always use these two axioms as the silver bullet. And remember this: no matter how plausible other fitness claims are, thou shalt not violate the foundation of the two axioms. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next commandment. Peace out.